The Trump campaign literally had to almost fight a member of the Arlington National Cemetery staff to get this picture with Gold Star families. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the quote-unquote incident that took place at Arlington National Cemetery involving a member of the cemetery staff and Trump's campaign team. Now, the whole issue was they did not want Trump's photographers to come in there and take pictures of a certain area. That was only up to the staff to take the pictures. I don't see what's the big deal. If the staff can take pictures, why can't my staff take pictures? What's the difference? I don't really get it. But there was a confrontation, a little bit of pushing and shoving. I wish I had video of that, but I don't. We'll get to some other video in a minute. But this is a ridiculous thing because Trump is not the first person to meet with Gold Star families or go to Arlington National Cemetery or to take pictures or anything like that. Now, for a little bit of context, this was the 3-year anniversary of the Afghanistan withdrawal, which unfortunately resulted in quite a few U.S. service members losing their lives. So Trump met with some of these Gold Star families at the cemetery on their gravesite at the request of the family. Now, here's my thing. If the families of the deceased military members want Trump there, if they invite him there, why wouldn't he come there? And why wouldn't he take pictures? They're posing for the pictures. Why wouldn't you take any pictures? I don't understand. It's a weird thing. But you see what's going on right here. This is an NPR headline. Trump campaign staff had altercation with official at Arlington National Cemetery. All right. So you see what it says here. I'm not going to read the entire thing, just a couple of sentences. 2 members of Donald Trump's campaign staff had a verbal and physical altercation Monday with an official at Arlington National Cemetery, where the former president participated in the wreath-laying ceremony, NPR has learned. A source with knowledge of the incident said the cemetery official tried to prevent Trump staffers from filming and photographing in the section where recent U.S. casualties are buried. The source said Arlington officials had made clear that only cemetery staff members would be authorized to take photographs or film the area known as Section 60. When the cemetery official tried to prevent Trump campaign staff from entering Section 60, campaign staff verbally abused and pushed the official aside, according to the source. Now, I've read more about that. There won't be any charges or anything coming from this, but this whole situation is crazy. Now, this is Trump laying the wreath, which is very normal for presidents to do. They always do this. Okay, here's a picture, Gold Star families on the gravesite. Okay, you got the families. Okay, you got a veteran right here. If you can see, he has a prosthetic. So people are wanting him there to take him pictures. They're posing, and that's what's going on. This picture right here is one you might see the most of him with the thumbs up. Oh, why is he giving the thumbs up? All this, that, and the third. Well, why do we have Mamaw over here smiling? Why is she smiling? It's because, listen, the thumbs up, the positive attitude, that's what the family is doing. That's what the families want. And if you've ever been to a funeral, it's not always everybody crying and sad. Usually when I go to a funeral, it's kind of a little family reunion, a little bit of a party almost, because we're celebrating their life. It's not going to be always sad, 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 crying tears the whole time. Okay, now here is Mr. Barack Obama laying the wreath at Arlington National Cemetery. Same thing. Who took that picture? I wonder. Okay, and then here he is at the gravesite, shaking hands. Not quite the same thing as what Trump was doing, but similar. Okay, very similar. And who took that picture? I wonder. Okay, and we're hugging the family members. All right, same. And then here we go. You got creepy sleepy Joe Biden doing the exact same thing, laying the wreath. All right, and here he is hugging somebody at the gravesite. Who took that picture? I wonder. I don't know. Did anybody want to assault President Biden's staff from coming in? And then on top of that, a lot of these political type institutions, or just DC in general, is very liberal. So the employees that work there are going to pretty much be on the side of a guy like Joe Biden and Barack Obama more often than not, in my humble opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I doubt it. Now let's get to JD Vance. He spoke about this whole kerfuffle. Then we're going to get into a news clip in which they bring a bit more information to the front. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
There's verifiable evidence that the families of these poor people who had their loved ones die 3 years ago at Abbey Road, Abbey Gate, those 13 Americans, a lot of them were there with the president. They invited him to be there and to support them. That's not an insult to the memories of their loved ones. They wanted Donald Trump there, and thank God that we have a president who stands with our veterans instead of one who runs away from them.
Now, let's pause. Joe Biden, was he invited? I don't really know. And if he was invited, he might have had better things to do, like be on the beach in Delaware for the past few days and not be the president. He's not been in the Oval Office in the past 10 days. He left for the DNC and he has not returned. When will he return? Will he return? Who knows? I can't tell, but I digress.
Now it is amazing to me that you have apparently somebody at Arlington Cemetery, some staff member, had a little disagreement with somebody, and the media has turned this into a national news story. You know what I think our veterans care a lot more about? That Kamala Harris's VP nominee lied about his military service. I think that our veterans care a lot more about that.
Now, there's more, but I'm going to leave that in the box just for time's sake. Let's get to the news story from NBC. And to speak on what JD Vance said right there, right on point. Bravo, sir. You said it perfectly. Okay. What's going on with Kamala? What's going on with Joe? What's going on with Tim Walz lying about his military experience, not being all the way truthful with why he retired right before his unit got sent to Iraq? Now, let's watch this to get a little bit more context.
We are learning new details about an apparent incident at Arlington National Cemetery earlier this week involving members of the Trump campaign and a cemetery official. Former President Trump was at that cemetery on Monday to mark the third anniversary of the attack outside the Kabul airport in Afghanistan. That attack killed 13 U.S. service members and more than 150 Afghans. NBC News correspondent Garrett Haake is following the Trump campaign. He joins.
And that was a catastrophic withdrawal, by the way. Catastrophic, of course, because you have the U.S. casualties, the Afghan casualties. But wasn't that when they had the plane flying out of there to evacuate people and there was a guy trying to hang on to the engine? I mean, it was a mess.
Us now from Washington. So, Garrett, what more can you tell us about this incident and what are both sides saying?
Ziegler, the more I've reported this story, the more interesting and nuanced it has become. This started with an incident, we were told, an altercation between Trump campaign staff and Arlington staff over access to shooting photos or video in Section 60. That's where many of our new war dead are buried. The cemetery put out a statement, which is rare in and of itself, saying that federal law prohibits the creation of any kind of campaign video or campaign content in the cemetery. The Trump statements originally dealt with the idea that he was there at invitation of the families who died, of Gold Star families who lost someone at Abbey Gate, and talked about an individual person who was basically trying to screw that up by blocking their access. What we have seen since is that the Trump campaign and their allies did in fact create campaign content out of this visit. They created.
Now let's listen. Okay, so I showed you pictures in the beginning of Mr. Barack Obama and Mr. Joe Biden and Mr. Donald Trump. Tell me the big difference between them. Tell me the difference. You know what the difference is. Maybe the campaign, maybe the staff that works at Arlington National Cemetery wanted to stop Trump's campaign from coming in because they know Trump's campaign would take these pictures and put them out, but the staff wouldn't. On the contrary, if it was Obama or Biden, then the staff of the cemetery would take the pictures that are just like this or very similar to it and then put it out. So you see what I'm saying? It made sense for Trump to bring his own people in there.
A TikTok video set to music showing the former president laying a wreath. You see him there smiling in another photo at a gravesite in Section 60. Now, he was invited to that gravesite by the mother of that Marine who died at Abbey Gate. That's all well and good. But in other photos, you see other graves of people who had nothing to do with Abbey Gate or nothing to do with Donald Trump. And when you talk to veterans or when you talk to people who take the kind of sacred nature of these military cemeteries seriously, they say that it's not up to one individual family to decide how everybody else will be remembered. And it's certainly not appropriate for one family to allow for one political candidate of their choosing to essentially campaign on hallowed ground.
Now, Okay, the family says we want Trump to come in. They pose for their pictures. Everybody's happy. Everybody's smiling. What's the problem? Why would anybody get in the way of that? Trump is invited. Trump comes. The family invites them. They come. Why is a third party getting in the way of that? That sounds like intrusive government, which is a big part of the problem in Washington, D.C. But again, I digress.
This is not the last we've heard about this story. We're continuing to talk to the Trump campaign, and we'll see what more reaction we get from military families about this as the day goes on.
All right, so there we go. That's from NBC News. And again, I will link to everything, including J.D. Vance, the NBC News story, the NPR article. All of that will be in the box. But as I close, I want to say this. This is a big time nothing burger. The media, they've been trying so hard to make Trump be the villain. But every time they attempt something, it doesn't work. It always blows up in their face. And I think this incident right here is yet another example of that. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Are you offended at President Trump going to Arlington National Cemetery and posing in pictures with the Gold Star families? Are you offended at the Gold Star families for inviting President Trump? How about Barack Obama and Joe Biden when they went to the cemetery and took pictures and hugging on families and whatnot? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is a big time nothing burger. This is an attempt yet again to villainize Trump. Orange man bad. Don't vote for him. He's racist. He's evil. He's campaigning on hollow ground. There's all kind of ridiculous stuff that they don't say about anybody else doing the exact same thing. And the reason is because there's an axe to grind and there is a narrative to push. It's so simple. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that is all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.